Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Yaritza and I am a former pre-K and kinder teacher, currently an instructional coach for pre-K teachers. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the best teaching tool there is to teach sight words, which are these Eyewords multisensory orthographic teaching cards. And they're incredibly engaging for all types of learners. They're aligned with the science of reading practices. They're incredibly easy to implement with any curriculum, and they're unbelievably affordable. So I will be breaking this video down into 3 parts. I will talk about the multisensory approach first, which is the front of the cards, then the orthographic mapping in the back, and then at the end I will share some other teaching resources from Eyewords, and I will also be sharing a coupon code for 15% off any Eyewords purchase if you're interested. So with that said, let's jump right into it. We are going to look at the multisensory approach, which is in the front of the card, as I just said. This first set that I'm going to talk about is set 1 of the Eyewords. They have 3 different sets, and each set has the 50 words. I'm not going to go over all 50. I'm just going to go over a few examples that I have here. So let's start with the word eye. You're going to notice that it has an embedded picture. So all of these words are going to have a picture embedded that's going to tie into a phrase that's going to be listed here in the corner, and then an action. So that is the multisensory approach. So for the word I, for example, you point at yourself and you raise one hand and you say, I did it. So that's the phrase, and the movement would be pointing to yourself. Another example is the word see. So the phrase is, I see you. And you make circles around your eyes, pretend that you have glasses, and you say, I see you. Another word is the word look. So you point at your eyes and you say, look at me. As you can tell, all 3 of those components tie in together to create context of the word. And that's the best part about these words. High frequency words make up over 50% of text that we read. So we want these words to turn into sight words. When they are sight words, that means that students can automatically retrieve them, and that really helps with fluency. And that's one of the key components when children are learning how to read. They need to develop that fluency, which is why sight words are so important. Now, I taught English language learners, so I did change up a little bit of the phrasing or a little bit of the action in some of these words. So for example, the word my, the suggested phrase is my why, but I switched that up to my shoe. So the silly movement for that is we grab our shoe and we say my shoe. Another word that I changed up a little bit is the word can. The phrase is can of soda pop, but I had students that didn't know how to differentiate between drinking and eating, so I made the phrase I can drink. So we would pretend to hold something that we were drinking. And I'll just give one more example, which is the word to. The phrase is to the park, and I just added on a little bit to it. And the movement, you pretend that you're bouncing a ball. So the phrase that we would say is to the park to bounce the ball. So that was helping develop more vocabulary for the students. So that is the multisensory approach, which is really, really fun. And as a review, my students would take turns, maybe sometimes working in pairs, and one of them would have the cards and they would just do the motion, and the other student had to say the phrase and then spell out the sight word. And it was just so fun because it's essentially like charades. It's so cool to just make the movement and have the kids say the phrase or say the sight word. So now let's look at the orthographic mapping on the back of the card, which, by the way, they have orthographic mapping cards that they sell as a separate product, but it just made my teacher heart so happy when I saw that this new product came out because it has both the multisensory and the orthographic mapping. It's just exactly what every teacher needs, in my opinion. We have the engagement piece, and then we have the research piece that is backed by the science of reading. And one of those biggest takeaways that we learned from the science of reading is like what orthographic mapping is. And it's the process of storing a word permanently in memory for that instant retrieval. So to understand this process, we first have to remember that every word has three forms. It has the sounds, which are the phonemes, the orthography, which is the spelling, and then the meaning. So when we add orthographic mapping to this multisensory instruction, we take what we already know about the word, so the meaning and the pronunciation, and we're connecting that to the individual phonemes and to the graphemes, which are the letters that represent the sounds in the word. So in doing so, the phonemes and the graphemes and the meaning are linked, and the word is stored as a sight word for that automatic retrieval. So when students practice sound mapping, each dot is going to represent a phoneme in the word. So students use that oral language processing part of their brain to map. So they connect those sounds of the words that they have already acquired language and meaning for. So then the next goal becomes to be able to blend those sounds back together. So here we have the arrow that's going to help with that sound blending. If a learner knows the pronunciation and the meaning for the word and they have good phonemic awareness skills, then they can pull that word apart. They can segment it into those individual sounds, and then the students can pull the sounds together. They can blend the word. So we have a, d, and. Another effective method embedded into these Eyewords multisensory orthographic heartword cards is the hardword method, which was created by reading researcher David Kilpatrick. So with some of these words, you're going to notice a heart in the sound mapping portion, like the word the. And this is because there's two types of high frequency words. We have regularly spelled words and we have irregularly spelled words. So with the irregularly spelled high frequency words, they don't follow any phonics patterns. They can't be decoded, so they need to be explicitly taught. So to explicitly teach the heart words, you identify the parts that are phonetically irregular. Identify what sound it makes and place a heart under that part of the word. Then explicitly teach this irregular sound that the heart letters make. And you tell the students this is the part that we need to learn by heart. So the best part about these cards is that there's no guessing for the teacher as to what each sound in the words is, because they're listed here in the corner. Here it tells you that it has two sounds. We have the T and the H, which is a digraph, so it's the voiced digraph. And then we have the schw sound. So those are the two sounds in this word. Another example is the word is. I did not know that this was an irregular word, but it tells you the two sounds. First sound is I, the short I, and the second sound is actually the Z sound. Z, I, Z. It is cold, and this is the action for this word. Now give one more example with the word you. For this word, you say you are in trouble. And the word you has two sounds. It has the regular Y sound, yeah. The O and the U are the heart word parts of this irregular word, and they make the long oo sound. So everything that you need to teach the sight words is just right here in these cards. All you have to do is print them out. They come out double-sided. And then you just start teaching. That's how incredibly easy it is to start with these. And here in the state of Texas, we took the Texas Reading Academies, which was a series of modules focused on all of that science of reading research. So I did learn about the 44 phonemes, which I had not learned about before. And I highly recommend this little 6-minute video where the 44 phonemes are modeled, just to make sure that you are producing the correct sounds, because that is definitely an important part of orthographic mapping instruction. You want to make sure that you're producing the correct sounds. I'll link it in the description box. And just lastly, another component that we learned from the science of reading is making sure that we're providing that explicit instruction. And we can accomplish this by teaching word patterns or phonics patterns in the words, and by following a scope and sequence. So depending on what type of curriculum you're following, or maybe you're not following a curriculum with a scope and sequence for sight words, I do want to mention that Eyewords has free downloads on their websites, and one of those downloads is a scope and sequence that's going to break down all of those phonics patterns. All you need to do to access their free downloads is sign up on their website. And other Eyewords products that I personally used when I was in the classroom were these desktop dictionaries, which are essentially like portable word walls. And this specific one is set 1 through 3, and it is very, very sturdy. But yes, essentially like a portable word wall. They currently only have 3 sets, but they are working on a 4th set, which is coming soon. When I started using the multisensory teaching cards last school year, they only had the multisensory cards that did not have the orthographic mapping on the back. And so I bought set 1, and then I bought the orthographic sight word cards separately, and I didn't print them out as actual cards. I kept it as a printed file, and I use that in binders for my small group. This set 1 of the multisensory orthographic teaching cards is under $27, which in my opinion is going to be like the best investment that you make for yourself and for your kids. And you can get 15% off your purchase by using code PRE-K. Again, I do think they're very affordable. This is everything that you need for sight word instruction. And I do receive a small commission if you use my coupon code or if you purchase from my affiliate links, which will be in the description box below. So I do appreciate it if you choose to support me in doing so. And another thing to note is that you can purchase digital downloads or you can purchase the physical products for these cards. I do recommend the digital downloads just because you can reprint as many times as you want. And I reprinted mine so that I could have an easy hands-on activity for my students whenever it was center time. So I printed the cards out just way smaller and I hole punched them and attached some pipe cleaner. And I love these lacing letters. And so they would build the words like this. It's just such an easy activity. So here are some more of the cards that I reprinted. But that's just one example of why I reprinted. I also printed a little bit of a larger set of cards that I displayed in the front of the classroom. And then with the orthographic mapping file, I reprinted those words very tiny as well, and I put them on my sound wall. So let me just take a quick minute to show you this printing hack in case you are unaware on how to print smaller with a PDF file. Open up your file, make sure that it's in Adobe. You're going to click print, and I already know that the pages I want to print are actually the odd pages, starting from page 9 to page 57. Go to more options, odd pages. That way I'm just printing out the side of the card where it shows the embedded picture. And then you click on multiple. And here is where you kind of play around with the sizing. If I put 2 by 2, then I can print 8 to a page. And now that is it for this video. I really hope that these cards make you excited to start teaching sight words. I genuinely think that they are just the perfect, most amazing teaching tool that there is right now. And let me know in the comments down below if you plan on starting to implement these Eyewords. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!